So yeah, do you want to kick us off with your main question, and we'll rock and roll?
Sure. So the main question is, I'm busy all day long, and I've tried the planner, and I tend to do good for about 2 hours until life happens, and then my plan goes kaputs. And after that, it tends to get a little bit hairy.
So yeah, so when you get hit with unexpected diversions or unexpected situations, you stop tracking your actual, or you start falling off the bandwagon, and then when the whirlwind passes, are you dropping back into your plan, the plan you've blocked out, or are you just carrying on willy nilly?
Pretty much willy nilly because the whirlwind seems to happen the rest of the day.
It just keeps going. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So let's break it down. How many staff have you got in your business?
so at our shop, we've got about 6 or 7 folks.
Six to seven on any given day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's your role?
Uh, kind of purchasing and sales,
Yeah.
many hats.
Yeah. So your main 2 or 3 hats would be purchasing, sales, and what else?
Purchasing, sales, marketing.
Yep.
That'd probably be the 3 main ones.
Yeah. So with using the planner, have you started to notice a trend when you're recording your actual of what's actually taking your time? Because this is the key thing. Like, what's the longest period of time you like, how many days in a row have you used the planner perfectly and tracked every little interruption that's come in
It's a good question. Probably about 4 days
a row?
that I managed in a row, and then it just goes kaputs, and then you start over again.
So what did you learn from that 4 days? Did you go back and reflect and look at what's taking your time? So what those things are?
What the
'Cause
interruption? I actually
yes.
got a better script today. I did a time block where each 15 minutes I wrote down and tried to categorize it, and most of the things that interrupt me are customer service
Yep.
and sales.
Yep. So customer service, that's inbound phone calls or outbound phone calls or both.
Inbound phone calls. So we have a girl that answers the phone. She can answer 50% of the questions, and then she goes, that's a question for Leroy. And
Yep.
and I get
Right.
stuck with it.
And then she passes the phone to you, or do you call that customer back?
She passes it to me.
Okay. So how many times have you asked her to record that you answering that question on her smartphone?
We don't have smartphones, but she could listen in on the calls.
Yeah.
Good point.
Have you got a camcorder? Something you can record it on?
No, we don't do that in our shop just because of our background. That's kind of frowned upon. Even this technology is a bit out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So because all I'm going to say is, if you're not like, it comes, I think we'll dive in a bit deeper, but straight away, potentially you've got a growing people problem, so that you're putting out, you're the go-to guy for the problems. Is that what you are in the business right now?
that's kind of the problem. Not enough growing fast enough to take those over. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if you can't, if you're not able to video you answering those calls, at the very least, she should be listening and taking notes of your answers at the very least. And you should have an FAQ book, frequently asked questions book. Like, we do this in our business, right? So I'm not telling you anything that doesn't work. We do this stuff, and we've done it for years, and we're always getting better at it. So I'm not saying we're perfect, but this is the stuff we train people like you on, and much bigger businesses as well, by the way. We've coached businesses that are, multi-million-dollar turnovers, huge businesses with hundreds of staff that don't have these practices in place. So an FAQ book is really powerful, because every day, if you keep answering the same questions, and you might say, oh, it's a unique question, but I guarantee one day in the future that question is going to be asked again. Guarantee it.
Right.
So 99% of your questions are probably common questions, or even 90%, 10% might be unusual, but even the unusual questions, you can categorize them under unusual questions, if you like, in your FAQ book, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you to do is not to throw your hands up in the air and despair, because this planner system, it completely changed my life, and it's changed the life of hundreds, if not thousands, of people now. And if you give up on recording your actual, you're giving up on the juice, because you're never going to learn. And the whole point of this is that by recording your actual every day, you see my one just gets hammered every 15 minutes. By recording your actual every day, you can reflect on that day and you can learn where you went off the rails. But if you get away from that discipline, you're never going to improve. And I'll be really brutal about that, really candid, really blunt. So the people I've watched that have taken, especially this year, there's been so many new customers or new clients for the planner. The ones that are crushing it are the ones that are using the system 7 days a week. There's a lot that are using it just 5 days a week, and they're doing really, really well because they're learning. They're learning how to get better at time management every day. But the ones who are, there's ones that people like yourself that are, and I'm not saying you're a slack guy, you're a hard worker. I'm not saying that. But if you give up on this little discipline, you're giving up on the juice because you're not going to learn. So you can't get 1% better every day unless you track it. It's like the same as going to the gym. If I don't track my workouts, I don't know if I'm getting stronger or weaker. If I don't track my food, I don't know if I'm eating healthier or, I'm just kidding myself. So what, as Paul always says, he says, to live a great life, you've got to have brutal courage. You've got to look in the mirror and be able to go, okay, it's like being, positively dissatisfied. That's what a lean thinker is, really, So you're always striving for more, but time management, if you can't get that right in life management, then really doesn't matter how many lean improvements you try to do, nothing's really going to get better. That all starts with this, because we all have 24 hours in a day, and if we can't get this nailed, we're going to struggle. There you go. You got the machine there. So another thing I'm going to say is that if you go through every single weekend or even every single day, if you're really struggling with, because right now you've got some struggles, I'm going to help you unblock some of them. But what I'm going to say is that, like, if you see mine, I scribble notes everywhere in my one, but I've been using this system for about 20 years now, and it's always getting better. But some of these things like ABC and strengths to develop, I read this stuff every week. And a guy like you in your role, you should be reading this stuff almost daily. Like when you turn up at work in the morning, skim through these first few pages of the planner and realign yourself with the system, because if you do that, you can only get better. You can only get better, and it just gives you like a punch in the guts or a kick in the behind and says, hey, Leroy, you're not using ABC 1, 2, 3. You're not blocking your time out. You're not taking that 10 minutes before leaving work to plan your next day properly. If you're sloppy, because as Paul says, banish sloppiness and fall in love with precision. Well, that starts with time management. You can't hope to banish sloppiness in your life unless you get control of your time. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things. When I first went into business about 22 years ago, I've been using this system for maybe 15 years, but 22 years ago is when I went into business. 23 years ago, I had no idea. I was 18, absolutely clueless. And I'm going to share this with you because I would in the morning, I'd go and pick up something that I needed because I was a one-man band. And then in the afternoon, I'd go past that exact same spot and pick up something else that I needed from some other supplier. Like hopeless stuff, absolutely hopeless. And I was busy, and I thought being busy was good enough. But then when I learned the system about blocking my time, I learned how to plan my week. I was like, okay, well, now I can go and pick up all those 3 items or 4 things. I can do it all in the one trip. So that was saving it. And then I moved on from there thinking, okay, well, how else can I leverage my time? Why can't a courier do this for me? Why can't a courier pick up those 3 things for me? And why can't a courier drop off those samples to my customers? So I started leveraging that. So then I'm buying more time back. So again, I know you've been recommended that book, Buy Back Your Time. I've been through it, and it's effectively, it's like most of the stuff in that book are effectively things that are in the life planner already, but the life planner takes it a step further by planning better and tracking your actual better. The next thing I'm going to ask you is, what are your high value tasks? What are the things you're really good at that add the most value to the company? Is it your sales? Like, what are you really good at?
That's a good question. I still need to figure that one out.
What do you enjoy doing? What do you enjoy doing? What lights your fire in your day? What gives you energy?
Really complex numbers, figuring out weird problems that arise, just weird stuff.
Yeah.
So like how to set up a website, how to advertising is a challenge that I like.
So you like marketing and advertising, marketing / yep. And you like solving here, curly problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So what you need to do, here's another thing to write down. You need to, after this call today, write down a column of things you love and a column of things you loathe. Okay. And then, so the
Yeah.
things you love are the things that give you energy, things that you're good at and give you energy. Loathe can even be things you're good at, but you hate doing. And what you've got to try and do is look around your organization and you chat to each person and say, hey, here's my list of what I love and what I loathe. What are some things, what are some things that, or you don't even have to share the list if you don't want to. It depends on your culture and your business. We're very transparent here, so we'll happily share things like this with each other. But if you have a list of your loathes and you look around your team and go, actually, Bob could take this, Mary could take this. So handing those things on, obviously you're going to need to train, because delegation doesn't mean abdication. It means you delegate, means that you give a task to someone and then you follow through and make sure that they know what they've got, the tools for the job, and they know what they're doing. So a lot of the things I'm telling you are probably things you already know, but you probably just need someone to give you a bit of a firecracker. And that's what I often find with my coaching, is that you already know, you're a smart guy. I'm talking to business owners all the time. They actually have all the answers, but sometimes they've got too many answers and they don't know the 3 or 4 things they should be absolutely laser focused on. So that's my job, is to try and ask you some questions, find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and try and get you focused on your strengths. But not give up on this. You need to double down on it. If the most, when people say to me, I'm stuck in the whirlwind, I say to them, well, you're the person that needs the planner the most. Because if you're not tracking what that whirlwind is, what is that whirlwind? Is it inbound calls? Is it customer problems? Is it people doing reverse delegation, throwing tasks back at you? What are those things? And if you're not recording those, how the heck can you fix it? You can't fix it. If you don't have the facts, you can't fix it. Lean says go to the Gemba and get the facts, right? Go to the Gemba and get the facts. If you're sitting in a meeting room without the facts, trying to solve a problem, you might as well be peeing in the wind. So, so you've got to get the facts, and you can't get the facts unless you record your actual. Do you understand that?
Yeah. And I think
So,
so far, I think the biggest thing I need to do is I've got my ABCs a little bit backwards here.
yes.
So my A's, I have purchasing, advertising, technology, and finance.
Mm-hmm.
And C's, I have sales training, which should be an A. That should be an A plus.
Yeah, well, growing people should be an A, shouldn't it? That's really what I always say to leaders. Growing people is an A, because if you don't get that, you can never replace yourself, because your goal every day is to replace yourself, right?
Yeah,
And if it's
that's right.
not, it should be from today on.
That's right.
So write that down. Replace myself. Write down that list of love and loathe. You've got to do that, because you've got to see what's draining your energy and what's giving you energy. And you've got to try and, most business people and entrepreneurs will never entirely get rid of everything on their loathe list. There's some things that some people that sometimes, it depends on the size of your business, you just have to carry on doing some of those things. But I challenge everyone to go every week, what more can you shed off your loathe list, so you've got more time for what you love and what's bringing massive value and what's making money for the business. Because
Right.
there's things that I do in my business, like my staff say to me, oh, you love selling. Well, yeah, I'm good at selling. And I enjoy getting a sale. But sometimes it'll take me 20 to 30 follow-ups to get a customer over the line. Do I enjoy that process? Not really. But does it bring money to the business? Yes, it does. So do I do it? Yes, I do. So you've got to be clear on those things as well, because as a leader, you might be the best salesperson in the company. If you suddenly ditch it altogether, your company might dive into a drain. So you've got to replace yourself deliberately. And
Yeah.
again, what is lean? Lean is about living a deliberate life. If you want to improving life, you have to be deliberate about everything you do. If you want to grow a great business, you have to be deliberate about everything you do.
Yeah.
So are we getting somewhere?
I think we are. I think that's the biggest thing is sales training for me, growing people.
Yep.
Cross that out here, grow people.
Yep.
Needs to be an A plus.
Sales training, which is effectively growing people. So that's where, so tell me now, what's 80% of your interruptions? Would that be those phone calls, those inbound calls answering questions? Is that
Today was,
80%?
I'd say it is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be huge. start that FAQ book today or tomorrow, whatever time it is there. Don't delay. Just get even a paperback book. Or if you've got a computer, then obviously put it in a Google spreadsheet or something. But we started with just using a paperback book, and every FAQ went in there, and then your girl is learning, and then if she leaves the company, the next person's got a big list of FAQs to be trained on. And if you're comfortable with using video, that's even better, because we have all of these situations online. So there's hundreds of videos of me talking to customers, answering questions, and same with our other good salespeople in the business. So there's this massive library of training.
Yep.
So what other questions do you have? Because I really want to make sure we walk away from today and you've got a laser focus. You know exactly what you're doing tomorrow to start improving this journey.
Well, first thing I do is start the FAQ, which I may have look into a little bit of software there, but drive that hard, because as you said, I have 3 times that I got asked this pretty much the same exact question today on a sales call. Pick up the phone, talk to the customer. Yep, the product works exactly like it's advertised. The people don't believe the advertisements. They still want to talk with me, but the salesperson convinced that they need to look at that FAQ. Here it is. Here's how it works. Go by the script. I mean,
brilliant.
it's simple.
Absolutely agree. It's actually very, very simple. And I call BS on anyone who says I'm the only guy in the business that can do this. It's a load of crap. You might be able to do it better. You might be able to do it 10% better, even 50% better, but you need to keep replacing yourself. And the question to always be asking is, will I ever have to do this again? If the answer is yes, create a system or create an SOP. I don't know if you're using Gemba Docs. We now use that, but you don't have to, but that's a really powerful way of creating quick SOPs. Do you use that at the moment?
We're playing with it.
Yep.
Still haven't got too much into it.
Yeah, it's very simple, but again, you need to be, as a leader, you need to be signing off those. Make sure you set up a bit of a hierarchy in there so that you're signing off the SOP, so you don't just end up with a whole bunch of people creating SOPs that are actually a bit rough.
Yeah.
That's one mistake we made, is we just went into a holus bolus and we suddenly had 500 SOPs, but they weren't titled correctly and they had all sorts of problems. So then we had to start reworking and cleaning them up. So don't make that mistake. But so FAQ book, you can start that tomorrow. If you don't have any software lined up for it, just start with a book. Just start with a book tomorrow and a pen and get it started. And then your inbound customer service girl, does she ever listen to you on the phone, or is she just straight on to the next task?
She sometimes listens in and sometimes she thinks she's too busy, but she'll not be too busy after this.
Okay, so I'm going to say stop and fix what bugs you. Otherwise, the whirlwind is going to get worse. So I'm just going to put that challenge on you. Build a culture of stopping to get quality right the first time. That applies in customer service just as much as it does in the factory. So stop. Make her stop and listen to you. Take notes so that she's actually writing it herself. And then you can take her notes and you can actually create a blog for your website. Okay, and and every FAQ should also have a blog supporting it, and that way your SEO ranking will go through the roof, absolutely through the roof. We dominate SEO here in New Zealand in our space because we have the best content marketing. We don't spend $1 on Google ads, on Facebook ads, not $1. We got up to spending 10 grand a month on that stuff. And then we decided to go all in on content marketing, just creating better content, which means answering customers' questions online. How much does it cost? Answering those key questions. All of that stuff, just put it on there and you'll become the absolute expert in your field, and your SEO ranking will go through the roof, and you'll be able to stop spending any money on ads. Literally. It's mind-blowing how we've gone from, we literally spend $0 online. Zero.
Good.
And you can do the same. But you take these deliberate steps. But the things I'm sharing with you today are not going to happen unless you start using this properly. So by using the life planner properly, you're blocking out time every day to train. You're blocking out time for the whirlwind. So I'm saying still allow some time for the whirlwind. You might be blocking out. Tell me what time of the day does it generally go off the rails? Is it straight away when you first hit the office?
8 o'clock, it starts where it gets really starts getting hairy.
And then those calls and interruptions are coming in all day long.
Yeah.
Yep. Until what, 5 o'clock at night?
3:30 or 3 o'clock, something like that.
Yep.
And then it goes down a bit.
So it's 6 hours of your day is whirlwind right now. Well, I'm saying right now you could start blocking that out. You could call it inbound, or you could call it the whirlwind if you want to. Block it out, and every day my challenge to you is that action. You should be shrinking that whirlwind a little bit every day by 5 minutes, by even a minute. Just keep shrinking that whirlwind. That's my challenge to you. And track it for a whole month, 30 days, and you should, as you get really focused on growing people, or at least growing this one girl, that those interruptions should reduce. What other interruptions are you getting? Give me some other examples.
That's really the biggest one. Is just, yeah, I've managed to put my email in a spot where I don't see it unless I actively go look for it.
Yep. So you block out time per day for that.
Yep. Every day I'll go in the morning, check it a little bit.
Yep.
If anything needs to be done right now, it gets done. Otherwise, it goes back later in the day.
So in your planner, do you block out a specific time for emails at the start of the day and the end of the day?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, good.
It was actually middle of the day as well to check it, just make sure there's nothing there that needs to happen today.
That's fine. So you might block out, what, do you need 15 minutes each block or 30 minutes? What do you need?
It was 15 minutes, but I'm thinking the way we're going to go, I won't even have to touch it throughout the day. I'll have her check the emails. And if there's anything important, she'll let me know. Otherwise, I don't have to touch it.
Great. That's what I was going to suggest next, is have a shared inbox, and she deals with every email for you and replies on behalf of you. And that if she's got a question, she comes to you. So I'm saying for the next 30 to 60 days, it's still going to be hard, because she's going to come to you with a lot of questions, but you're building a system, right? So you're building in value for the future. So she's going to ask you that question. She's going to build up 20 to 30 draft emails in her drafts of templates that she can use forevermore, right?
Yep.
So she can answer your inbounds because you're building an FAQ book, and now she can answer your emails because you're building a templates in her drafts.
All right, my little girl's here saying hi.
Yeah. I want to see her.
Hey. Hey.
Oh, you're so cute. What's your name?
What's your name?
Sadie. Sadie. Oh, that's a very cute name. I love that name. If I ever have another little girl, I'll call her Sadie. That's very cute. Okay, so Leroy, have you got a clear pathway forward?
Yep. FAQs and yeah, she's got to write those down, and she has to train JD, the other guy that's here, and then I want him to review it as well to see that his experience is the same as hers, and they're both supposed to update those as often as they can.
Great. And you're going to need to keep the rope tight, because 90% of a leader's job is follow-up. Write that down. Most leaders don't understand that. 90% of your job is follow-up, to keep the rope tight, to make sure these things are being done, to make sure the values, the mission, the vision are being followed, to make sure the FAQ book's being used and updated, to make sure the skills matrix on the wall is up to date, to make sure their book matrix is up to date. All the tools that you've got in the business, if you don't pay attention to them, neither will anyone else. So they'll just drift away.
That's a good one.
You understand that? If a leader doesn't, what you pay attention to is what they will place importance on. If you stop paying attention, suddenly they think it's not important anymore, and they will drift away, and the FAQ book will become another has-been. Just like her checking the emails, if you don't be deliberate about it and make sure that every day, and you need to make sure you've got a daily report in the business as well. This is simple stuff, really, that you might already have this stuff in place, but most small businesses don't. There's a one-page report that she or someone in the business is responsible for, of the key performance indicators across the business. It might be 3 or 4 or 5 things that you need to bring up in the morning meeting and review that daily report. So here's yesterday's results. What are we going to do today to make today is the best day we possibly can? That's the purpose of the morning meeting. And a lot of lean, 2-second lean and other lean practitioners forget that the whole purpose of the morning meeting is not just growing and training people, but it's what can we do to make today the best possible, most successful day we possibly can.
share information, make it the best day possible.
Yeah. What are we going to do to walk out of here 1% better than we were when we came into this meeting? Otherwise, don't have the meeting. Honestly, you're just grinding your gears.
All right. I've got a lot to do here.
Yeah, and I don't want to overwhelm you, and there's a lot more I could share, but this might be a bit of a journey for you and me to do some more regular catch-ups, because your questions, 99.9% of entrepreneurs and business owners have the same struggles. So by jumping on today and sharing that, and being free to share and having that humility to share it, is absolutely fantastic, because it's going to help so many other people.
Yeah. And I've started using a checklist in the morning, and I'll probably use this in conjunction with your list. Is I'll probably block out like an hour as a checklist to go through of things that I need to clear, like leader standard things that I need to do in the morning.
Yep.
And I'll put that in here as an hour block. And one of those is read 10 pages of a book, which your book or your preview, I was going through that one, and to about page 140 here the other day. So
nice.
Go through the rest of it yet.
You've made good progress. Yeah, great. So that you're learning a little bit each day. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I
great.
learn at home all the time, but I also need to learn at work a little bit. And
yeah, it's key. It keeps you motivated, inspired, gives you fresh ideas, and keeps your company growing. The other thing to always remember is that a leader's job is to spend as much time as he or she can at the Gemba. So if you look at Toyota, most of their top leaders spend at least 2 hours of the day at the Gemba, as you know. And so don't get away from that, because that's another trap. That's what I got stuck in that. The company grew fast. We hired, so many people. We got to 75 people last year, and I started to spend less time at the Gemba, and it's always a mistake, always. And I'm really intensely getting back on Gemba walks, in the last few months, and every hour I put in at the Gemba with my checklist is massive value added, because you're keeping the rope tight. You're spotting waste that no one else is seeing. You're spotting problems. You're building relationships with your people. Like you just cannot beat that time on the Gemba. So don't get away from that. I suppose are you in a smallest, like one small workshop, or what's your environment?
It's a smaller workshop with a few areas, and then about 2 buildings.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, but so for you to do a Gemba walk would only be what, an half an hour to an hour to get around and check on the processes and make sure people are following SOPs and keeping the rope tight?
Yeah, it depends what my checklist would look like.
Yeah.
If it's like I've tried doing it, I'll walk around. Sometimes, some days it'll be 10 minutes. Next day it'll be 30 minutes if I'm not careful. So
yeah,
find a balance there.
Yeah, it is. It's important. You got to just pick the biggest problems to focus on. You can't solve every problem every day. So on that note, just make sure you've got a clipboard. Mine's hanging in my office, but a clipboard with your Gemba walk checklist. Just make a simple checklist of the things that you think are really important to be checking on, e.g., are people following SOPs? What improvements are people working on? I've got a 17-point checklist. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it works, and it's always getting better. So make sure you've got that. So when you're walking around, you're following a system. I wish I'd done that 20 years ago, but I didn't. I've only just in the recent times started using an actual physical checklist. Some people call it a 5S audit, or we call it a GLS checklist. Go look, see. So whatever you want to call it, but you've got to make it into a system rather than just a random walk around.
Whatever is important to you, you have on that checklist.
Correct. Yeah. Whatever's Yeah, and what is important to you should be important to the business. Like what's adding value for the customer, what's going to be adding to the bottom line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground in 34 minutes, and 32 minutes. What other lingering questions do you have? What else do you need help with right now as some bonus time?
That's it for now. I'm unless you have a suggestion for how to do the FAQ in a computer format other than Gemba docs, like a Word I don't really want to do Word format because you have multiple people opening
Well,
it.
okay, here's an idea. Do it on your main website as the FAQ page on your main website. And then if have you got a good search function on your website?
I think so. Yeah, just create blogs on there.
Just do it as a blog. Do it as a blog, and then people can go straight into your search bar. Do you who looks after your website? Is that you or someone else?
We've got somebody. I do some of the updates, and then somebody else, if there's any back end problems, he'll fix that.
Okay, jump on today. Check the search bar. Check how good it is. And if it brings up results, accurately and quickly, then use that as the one source of truth for your team and for your customers. Unbeatable.
Yeah, it doesn't have a blog on it right now, so that would be something we'd have to add. But
yeah,
it would. Yeah.
So from tomorrow, just start cheap and cheerful. Get a book, 1B8 book, or just a paperback book, and just get her to start with that, and then get your website developer to create a blog page. And then get your website developer to create a blog page, and then start transferring them onto that. And you will be blown away. You'll be absolutely blown away. Your SEO will go, your ranking will go up. Your customers will be happier because they'll get the answers they're looking for. And your team will have the answers they're looking for. One source of truth, really important.
And would you run a blog as multiple pages or just a bunch of information until it gets big enough and then split it up into sections?
Well, just make sure you've got tags. Like how many products have you got?
A few hundred, but it is still.
How many categories? How many categories would there be under? Like, is there like different categories? Like 100 products per category or 50 products per category, or?
That's hard to say. We've got harnesses and you got your minerals and your other things. So probably like 15 categories of, you could probably get it into 10 categories.
Yep. Sweet. Well, you can do that with your blog if you want to. Otherwise, you just start with one blog page, but make sure you've got, you've got hashtags or tags, and so the search engine can, find things quickly and come up with a good way of standardizing the title. But the title should be the title of each blog should be the customer's question. How do I blah, 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 or how much does it cost to blah, 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 or why should I blah, 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 or how do I maintain this, or what do I do if this breaks, or who do I ring if this blah, blah. Does that make sense? Just put that as your, and very soon you'll be able to just Google those questions and land on your website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many competitors have you got in your area?
How many computers?
Competitors in your area.
Competitors. Yep. I don't see any of them as competitors necessarily. They're
okay.
We do have competitors in different markets, but they're all different. Probably 3 or 4 in each market.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not terrible bad.
Yeah. Okay. So I guarantee if you go on any of their if you let's just pick one or two of what you think are your main competitors. Google some of the most common questions, and I guarantee you won't land on their sites. You'll probably land on some blog site or some forum. Guaranteed.
Will.
So you could be the first person in your space to answer every question that your customers have.
Yeah.
And you become the expert. That simple. If you Google a lot of the questions about our products, you'll land on my LinkedIn articles. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just crazy. But that's because none of our competitors are doing what we're doing. And it's not hard. It just takes daily discipline. But without my planner, I'm going to say it again, without my planner, there is no way in H I would get the blogs written, I would get the videos done, I would get the training done. I would be lucky if I got 20% of my day done if I wasn't disciplined about planning my day the night before leaving work, planning my week on a Sunday, planning my month, the first day of the month, blocking it out. If I didn't do those things, there is no way I would get even half of what I get done in a week. Yeah. People say to me, how do you keep fit? How do you have time for the gym every day? And I'm like, well, because I'm listening to my audiobook for 30 minutes, because I plan it in, because I treat it as an A priority, and because it helps me buy time back, because I feel great. It gives me confidence. and and I keep healthy so I can perform at a high level. So it's easy to make excuses. I haven't got time for fitness. I haven't got time for healthy eating. I haven't got time to call proactive calling to customers that haven't heard from us in a long time. I haven't got time to train my staff. All of that is just excuses. And excuseitis is a deadly disease, and anyone can make excuses, but only average people make excuses, but great people make changes. And you just got to continually think about that. Anyone can make excuses, but only the brave and only the courageous can make changes. And you're one of those people because you're in business, but you're gonna have to make changes from today's call. You're gonna have to go forward and make these changes that we've talked about. Otherwise, it'll be just another day in the life of Leroy, and you'll be spinning you'll in a year from now you'll be going, oh damn, I wish I'd done that stuff.
Tired of that. Can't live with that anymore. So
no, you can't. You've got to draw a line in the sand today and say, today I'm changing and I'm going forward in a different way.
Sure.
Anyway, I don't want to take up more of your precious family time because it's 10 past 5 over there?
Yeah.
And you've got kids waiting for daddy time. Yeah.
Sure.
Have we added enough? Have we added some value? Have you got something out of this?
Yeah.
Are you happy?
I'm happy. I'm grateful that you took the time for this, and yeah, I just encourage anybody to do an audit of their day and go through it just to see where your tasks are going.
Correct. So this coming Saturday, I want you to go back through your planner and review your actual and actually add up where your time went. So how much of it went on marketing, how much of it went on all the key things. There might be 10 to 20 things that you've done in the week, and lots of them will be the similar things each day. What's the total time, and rank it from highest to lowest, and then rank the value of each of those things too, and then put a note like which ones can you delegate, which ones can you drop, how can you buy your time back.
And I think my biggest takeaway is to actually mark it in as whirlwind from so-and-so time to so-and-so time. That's whirlwind time for now.
Give that a go. WW whirlwind, WWT whirlwind time, and then keep compressing that. But in that whirlwind, as the day goes along, you must stop every 15 minutes and just quickly note in where that time went. If you're not using that actual column, then you're literally you're spinning your wheels. You're wasting your investment in the life planner, and you're wasting. You're really doing yourself a disservice and your family and your business. You got to think about it that way.
Got it.
Nice.
Sure.
And don't forget to keep reading the time management rules and strengths, all that training in the front of here. Keep reading that. Keep reading it until it becomes habitual and it's ingrained. It's in your DNA. It's in your mind, and you can do it off by heart.
All right.
Thanks, Leroy. You're a legend.
How's it?
Thanks, man. Chat soon.
How's it?